Hey guys, welcome back to Hippo Supercoach, and today we're going to be discussing the defenders and every single one that I think is relevant. So we're going to filter it by own percentage and we're going to work our way down. So we'll start with Elliot Yeo. So I think he's an absolute lock. I think it's a bit of a no-brainer pick at this point. I've been saying he's been a lock before even the practice match, but now he really is an absolute cemented lock. So unless he has an injury or something in this game, or like a drastic role change, I guess you probably wouldn't pick him. But other than that, I don't see why anyone would not start Elliot Yeo. The price is too good, and he's got potential to be a top 6, in my opinion. Nick Dacos. So if you haven't seen my previous video discussing my team update and my top 3 biggest traps, I had this guy as number 1. Now, do I think he's the worst pick? No, definitely not. But do I think he isn't going to be a top 6? Yeah, I honestly believe he won't be a top 6. I know he can be, and depending on the role, he definitely could be depending on the role. But from what I saw, he didn't look amazing in the midfield, basically. If you really want my full analysis, go to my other video, but he didn't look great in the midfield. He looked good at halfback, but it looks like Darcy Moore's going to have the kicking duties. Not the best sign for Dacos. So it limits his scoring avenues, and probably he just has to get some cheapies on the outside and some 1-2s. But I just don't think I don't like the idea of him being a top 6. He was ranked 25th last year out of the defenders. So, and that doesn't include like George Hewitt and any other defender that was DPP last year. I think he's the only one that probably would have been ahead of him. But yeah, so ranked 25th, he's got to jump his average by about 15 points. I don't think he does that. And people will say, he's got that natural upwards trajectory being his second year. If anything, if you go by history, usually the second years are the bad ones. So I think he's a superstar, one of the best rookies just about of all time. But I just think the role holds him back. I'd need to see him get maybe at least half the kick-ins. And I don't like him in the midfield. At this point, I don't. I think he looked great against the Collingwood mids. In the inter-club, but against Carlton he looked very confused and out of place. So probably talked about Nick Dacos for a bit too long then, but he's very relevant, obviously, 49% of teams. So, but he's a gun. I know why he's in that many teams, but by no means is he a lock. So Gimby, I don't know too much about him, but apparently he could play on the wing, I hear. So that's a pretty good scoring role for a 170k defender, and they rate him pretty highly at West Coast. So was injured in the first practice match, but I don't think it was anything too serious. Wilmot and Constable, so their roles are actually quite good if they play. Job security is obviously the biggest question mark for both of them. McKenna apparently looked pretty average in the practice match, and I didn't catch too much of him, but apparently his disposal wasn't great. So would I start McKenna? I mean, if he's named round 1 and he looks mildly okay this week, then I guess you have to probably start him because he's got that proven job security to Essendon. Obviously Brisbane's a bit different to Essendon, but yeah, wait and see with the rookies. So Tom Stewart, so 36% ownership. I don't disagree with this, and I think the Radigalia move to the backline helps him. If anything, it basically frees him up completely. He is susceptible to a tag, which I don't love, and I think you have to pick one, or you have to pick 2 out of the big 3, in my opinion. I think the structure right now, before the practice matches this week, the best structure is to have 2 primo defenders, whether that is Dawson and Dacos, or I think it's got to be 2 out of either Dawson, Dacos, Sicily, and Stewart. And for me, I would personally prefer Sicily. And I may as well segue into Sicily right now. Now, the reason I prefer Sicily is because, 1, I'm confident in the fact that Hawthorn are going to struggle this year. I think when you compare a bottom 4 team versus Geelong, who finished first, it's pretty obvious the logic. So he's obviously going to get more opportunity than a Tom Stewart in a good team, okay? Because the ball's going to be down there more, right? So I think Sicily can actually bump up his average by a couple of points. Do I think we can get him for cheaper? Absolutely. I think he could maybe drop to 550. All he has to have is like 1 bad game at that price. So you probably could get him cheaper, but I would just personally rather start Sicily. He's in 14% less teams. I just think he'll get more opportunity. They really do look for him exiting that D50. So, but like Tom Stewart's a great pick as well. I don't hate him at all, and I think he's very, very relevant, clearly, and can definitely see why people would start with him. So now let's talk about Josh Goda. I mean, don't know about him. I don't think he played in the practice match. So wait and see. Jack Bowes, another wait and see. Apparently looked good, but his role is so up in the air. Apparently he was playing everywhere. So I don't know about Bowes. I hope he is good because I wouldn't mind starting him. I'm really liking the mid-price value this year, to be honest, and I don't think we should be scared away by these mid-price guys because, like, as long as their role's fine, I don't see why they're not good options. Jordan Dawson looked very, very good in the practice match, picked up right from where he left off, and I think he's slightly discounted based on the start of last year where he was getting played on the wing and getting sort of thrown around everywhere. It seems like Adelaide know now that he's the defender only, and he did end up playing most of the season as a pure defender. He's the lock for the kick-ins as well. He is susceptible to a tag. I think he got tagged once by maybe Port Adelaide. That might be like a salty thing because he got kicked a game winner on him. But it was Port. He did. It was Port. But yeah, I think Dawson's just such a safe pick. And when you're comparing someone like a Nick Dacos to Jordan Dawson, like it just doesn't make sense. Like Dawson's scoring avenues, there's just so much more. Like so many more, I should say. Like he's got kick-ins 1, he's got intercept marking 2. Dacos doesn't have either of those. We don't know at least. I don't think Dacos is a marker. And yeah, they do look for Dacos to leave their 50 as well. And he is like a big stat pad. You can tell he really wants those cheapies, which is great for Supercoach. But I just think like you couldn't really pick a Dacos over Dawson unless you really needed that 100k cash. Sam Doherty's one that looked pretty average in the practice match, which was surprising. He really lit it up in the last few rounds of last year when he played as that pure mid. I think he could be one of like a 110 to 115 average if he played pure mid. But yeah, he was quite weird. He played a little bit backline as well, but just looked a bit out of it. So could have just been one bad game. He could have had he could have been sick or something. So we have to wait and see this week about Doherty. And yeah, I think the role's the biggest question mark because obviously he's been training with the mids. The question mark lies when Sam Walsh comes back. If they still plan on playing Walsh off like the half forward wing kind of role, then Doherty might keep his spot in the mid. But they've got Chera, Kennedy, Cripps. I mean, Cripps is going to get all the CBAs in the world, but Doherty, I just think he's a bit of a fringe player when it comes to that midfield rotation. So someone that I'm happy to pass on for now and just wait and see on. Couple of rookies. Nick Caulfield, he played in the 2s on the intra-club, not the intra-club, sorry, in the practice match against Melbourne, and it looked really good. So hopefully it was enough to get a spot, but clearly they don't value him too highly, I don't think, if he's playing in the seconds, which is a bit of a shame because he looked like a really good option. Hayden Young, so his ownership has dropped a bit, I think. He looked very average in the practice match. I barely even saw him, to be honest. He didn't even want the ball, it felt like. I don't even think he got many kick-ins either. So, Hayden Young definitely off the radar for me. Unless I see something miraculous in this weekend, I don't think you could pick him. Sam Darcy, I'm not sure why he's in 8% of teams. Is he supposed to be playing like an intercept role? I'm not sure about him. So if anyone knows about Sam Darcy, let me know. Why is he in 8% of teams? Liam Jones, no, I couldn't pick him. He's old, bit injury prone. Just never had a Supercoach friendly role. Adam Sard, so this is an interesting one. So 4%, massive pod. He's got the 109 average without Zach Williams in the team. He's not the biggest stat pad. I do think he gets the kicking duties though, with Nick Newman. Probably gets about half of them. The only thing with Sard is like, can he maintain it for a whole season? And can he crack into that top 6? Was he top 6 in the end? He would have gone close if he wasn't. I think it was like 8th or something. But yeah, just a little bit tricky. He didn't look that great in the practice match. So Wait and see how he goes this week. Sam De Koning, he's not relevant in my opinion. Himmelberg's not relevant this year because it seems like he's playing forward. Caleb Daniels apparently playing midfield, but I just don't see how that Bulldogs mid's going to work. And like I said in my other video, I'm trying to stay from as many Bulldogs players as I can. I've got Toby McLean there, but I think he's a bit of a non-negotiable at this point. Jake Lloyd's an interesting one where he's just completely lost his role and Supercoach relevance, like averaged 92 last year. And you know what, I actually think he's got a very similar role to Nick Dacos. They're both like Seagulls, but they're both limited by the fact that they, one, don't get kick-ins, and not the best in the midfield. So I think that those kick-ins literally take the average up by like 20 points. And that was why Lloyd was averaging 120. And I think Dacos, when he was scoring well, was actually getting kick-ins. So I can see Dacos averaging like a 92, like Lloyd did last year. Christian Salem's one to maybe keep an eye on, but he's injured. Thyroid, okay. Jordan Ridley I've seen in a few teams. Now, I just don't get this at all. It's pretty clear that, like, obviously he's got the ceiling, but that ceiling was there when he had 100% of the kick-ins. Mason Redmond was not getting kick-ins back when he was averaging 120 in the first, like, 5 rounds. It just seems like Redmond and Ridley are going to split the kick-ins, and I think for Ridley to go to that next level, he needs to have more, like, quite clearly more kick-ins than Redmond. I guess, yes, he's going to play pure intercept, which is good. He might not get tied up to a lockdown, but he's got to jump up quite a bit to be a top 6. So, bit of value there. Out of those like 500k players, I'd much rather Ridley than Young, but still wouldn't probably start Ridley unless I see something this week. So going down, I don't know if there's anyone else really relevant, to be honest. I think that's pretty much it. Stephen May got a lot of kick-ins, but don't think he'll be top 6. And that's pretty much it for the defenders. If there's anyone else I missed and you want my opinion on, feel free to chuck it in the comments and I will discuss that. But yeah, that's it for the video, guys. I hope you enjoyed, and the forwards are up next.